call this meeting to order of the Villa Park Village Board. Today's March 25th at 7 p.m. Clerk Konecki, could you please call the roll?
It's Trustee Aiello. Trustee Salella.
Here.
Trustee Kazone.
Here.
Trustee Case.
Here.
Trustee Tucker.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
President Voltis.
Here, and will please rise for the pledge, and then please remain standing while Trustee Wagner have a prayer for us. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for Trustee Wagner to have a prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents, staff, businesses, surrounding communities, and all those that enter the village of Villa Park. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. If anyone has any comments on items 5 through 8, now is your time. Do we have anybody signed up?
Yes, Jack Kozar wants to refer to item 6A.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Kozar. I'm the owner of 324 East Central. It's the old gas station that we're actively redoing. I'm on the agenda for the first reading because I'm applying for and requesting a liquor license for the property. So really, I would just like to answer any questions or concerns that anybody would have. I'd be happy to tell you all about it, but I don't want to, spend too much time. So if you guys have any questions for me, more than happy to answer any concerns anybody might have.
Okay, when we get down to that item, if we have any questions, we'll ask you to answer them.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Anyone else, clerk?
No, that was it.
Anyone else have any non-agenda items? Agenda item.
Yes, agenda.
Which one?
Number, one we just talked about.
Oh, number 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, number 6. My question is, with liquor licenses, are there a finite number that you have right now, 61?
The liquor license are right now at 61, but it's up to the board. They can raise or lower that number whenever the board votes on it.
Whatever you see.
Yeah, so now we have a request, so that's why it's on our agenda.
Is that what's done, has been done in the past?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the amendments to the agenda. Do any of the board members have any amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 5, this consent agenda. Is the bill listing for the week of March 11th and March 18, 2019 for a total of $1,024,440.70. And number 5B is the minutes from the board meeting held on March 11th, 2019. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Sala, second Trustee Kazone.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
Trustee Salella.
Yes.
President Voltis.
Yes. Item 6 is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, increasing the number of Class A tavern restricted liquor license. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The property located at 324 East Central Boulevard is being redeveloped into a tavern called Fuel. The property in question has 2 buildings, one which will house the tavern and the other an ice cream shop. There are no available Class A liquor licenses. This ordinance will add 1 Class A liquor license, bring the total number of all liquor licenses to 61. Thank you, Your Honor.
And this being the first reading, so we don't need a motion, it's just for a discussion or any questions that the board may have. Anyone have any questions?
I do.
Trustee Tucker?
as for the tavern, is that going to be open year-round, where your ice cream parlor is only going to be open a certain amount of time?
We got to get you on the TV.
Sure. So, as it stands right now, we're the smaller building, which we're gonna kind of house desserts and that sort of thing. We are most likely going to have it shut down for maybe late January, month of February, kind of reopening in March, so kind of an abbreviated winter status. And then what we're thinking for the bigger building, the fuel building, which I know that the term tavern is used in here, and it's a term of art based on the statute. But it's, we'd like to refer to it more as a beverage center, because we're going to have non-alcoholic type things there too to cater to people who are coming off the path. That our objective, our goal is to keep that open year-round, but have abbreviated hours during the winter time when it's, obviously it's cold out, so people aren't sitting outside. So maybe just open up on the weekends or something like that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something of that nature. We want to be a little bit flexible on it, but I don't anticipate just being outright closed. We also want to have some events and whatnot to fill up those winter days.
My understanding is you're also serving food in there?
We won't be
Because
serving
originally you mentioned something about a truck being there
food. Correct.
for sandwiches.
Right. So we're not specifically offering food in that big building because we don't have a kitchen. That wasn't our intent. So what we are doing is, as we're constructing it, we've got 2 hookups for food trucks. So food would be basically out of the food truck. Although working with the Board of Health, we're having certain equipment in that smaller building too. So if we wanted to do something like a simple breakfast sandwich or something like that to cater to the people who, are out on the path early in the morning and stuff like that, we can do that as well. But primarily our objective is to have the food come from the food truck.
So my understanding is that you're having the tavern just having wine and beer in the tavern, but there's no food associated, that food's with the food truck?
Correct. So the idea would be that you would order whatever you wanted. We're using a point of sale system so that you could go into the big building and you can place your order and you can get a pulled pork sandwich and a beer, for example. And then the point of sale system, the POS system, would register the ticket in the food truck, and then you would go to the food truck to actually get your food, and it would be all prepared there. You could take it back and you could stand and, eat your sandwich there, or you could use one of the benches, picnic benches or whatever outside. So specifically to answer your question, you're right, we're not preparing food in the big building.
Anything else, trustee? Okay. Trustee Kazone.
Just a quick, so that, it sounds like a great idea, so that you don't have to make 3 stops. Say you want, you're there with your family, you want a beer, you want a sandwich, and you want ice cream. Will that work the same with the ice cream? So like, can you buy all 3?
That
Point
was
of
the
sale?
idea, yes, that
Okay.
you could buy all 3, although obviously you would have to be over 21, present your ID to pick up any alcoholic beverages in
Right.
in the larger building.
Right.
We don't have any intention of having any alcohol whatsoever in the smaller building. There's like no place for it. It's just, doesn't fit our model.
No, we're looking forward to the opening.
Trustee Cielo.
Did you, by chance, bring your artist rendering that you had in the past meeting, that you could show some of the people that have not seen
Sure.
what you're proposing in that corner?
So I have this one, which is,
Maybe you could just hold it up
A little bit
for
bigger.
camera or whatnot. Or,
maybe it doesn't have quite the detail, but is that kind of what you
Yes.
were thinking?
Yeah.
All right. So everybody can see.
Probably enough.
Yeah, we're getting. And then hold it up to this camera.
Thanks,
Okay,
Jack.
good.
that's all I have.
Do you have a projected opening day?
We are working very hard to be open middle of May with like a soft opening, and then kind of have our grand opening. Quite honestly, I think to have the grand opening on Memorial Day may be a little bit rushed. We plan on being open, but we want to we want to really put our best foot forward.
Mhm.
So we would like to, keeping our fingers crossed, be ready for business middle of May, and Memorial Day would be our first kind of big weekend to kind of work some of the bugs out, and then from there, just hit the ground running and do the best that we can.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, seeing no other questions, and that again being the first reading, I'll move this on to the agenda at our next meeting, which is on April 8th. Okay, very good. All right, we will move on to item number 7A, which is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the sale of surplus personal property owned by the Village of Villa Park. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Reserve Engine 80 is a 1995 E1 Pierce Arrow fire engine. When new engine 82 was placed into service in April of 2019, current engine 82 will be placed in reserve status. Therefore, the 1995 E1 Pierce Arrow fire engine can be retired. It is recommended that this engine be declared as surplus property and sold as is to a responsible buyer for a minimum of $12,000. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution?
President Bolfus, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Case?
Second.
Trustee Wagner?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments? Trustee Tucker?
Do we know what the price was for that engine in 1995? What we paid for it, or 86?
$186,000.
$186,000? And what is actually the market value of engines right now?
Okay, hold on a second. Do you want to answer those questions, Chief? Okay.
The market value for the old one or the one we just bought?
The market value right now for engines, just so we have some idea
Well,
of
it's
your...
24 years old, so.
Right.
They had one on Obanoff that was 6,100.
Okay.
2001. This is a 1995 one. Not a big market for them.
I just wondered when you put the minimum type
Well,
thing
we're
and where
offering-
we're offering to figure out,
We
right?
haven't-
Where,
We were offered it, but we haven't received a check yet.
okay.
So
I was just trying to figure out what kind of a ballpark we were at for engines right now, because we just purchased a new one.
Yeah.
We know how much that cost us, yes. So I was just trying to find out what that range we're at, being a 20-year-old engine is what, yeah, 25, yeah. Where we're at in the ballpark on that and what it actually cost us when we started.
You know, when we sold the ladder truck that we had, we basically gave that away.
yeah.
So,
that was before me.
because, yeah, we didn't get any bids on that, so that was just donated, so.
Anybody else?
That's my job, Chief.
Okay.
Is that it? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes,
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 7B is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, and Kenilworth Townhomes, LLC. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The developer Kenilworth Townhomes LLC intends to purchase the property that has been in receivership for over 5 years and complete the previously approved townhomes on Kenilworth Avenue just west of Cortese Veterans Memorial Park.
good to see you.
As part of this development, the developers are requesting financial assistance to ensure the project is financially feasible. If it were not for the TIF, the developer would not pursue this development. The redevelopment agreement in question gives the developer an incentive to complete the townhomes by 2021. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the ordinance?
To make that motion.
Trustee Wagner? Do I have a second? Trustee
I'll
Kazone? Okay. So, Jan Fiola is here and the developer's here, so we're all ears.
My name is Joe Billeteri. I'm the owner of Billeteri Enterprises, which is the overall...
Okay.
Is it on?
Yeah, that's on. It's for the TV.
Okay. Joe Billeteri, Billeteri Enterprises. I'm here. This is one of our projects, the Kenilworth Townhomes. We're the purchaser of the property, and my job is to find the projects, and then John, who runs the construction division of our company, which is United Construction Services, and also is a partner in the project. He is responsible for the rest. So I just want to introduce myself. I've been in meetings with Jan from the beginning, and John will step up here, kind of present the project to everybody and answer any questions regarding the financial aspects of construction aspects of it. Thank you.
I believe all the board members have received a copy of the purchase agreement or the agreement between them and us. So, okay. Yes, John, go ahead.
I'm John Curtis with United Construction Services, and I'll walk you through what we propose to do. The existing townhomes, as you can see, we just have right up there, and then we're trying to match it but yet update it with the new product. And so we try to come again close to the existing product, but still kind of give it a little fresher look than what the older product is there. Instead of going with 18 townhomes, we're proposing to do 16. Just felt the density was a little too high. It really kind of shoehorned those center units in like the original development, kind of put them in there tight and made some turning radiuses on the drive aisles a little tight, as well as I felt that it, thank you, Jan. I felt that this is going to be 2 units and this will be 2 units versus the proposed 3. And what it will also allow us to do is put the green space on the sides of the 2-unit townhomes in the middle of the development, as well as these will go to 24-foot wide drive aisles. These are currently, in the existing product, are currently only 20s. And it's, in my opinion, it was difficult to get in and kind of maneuver around. And if someone was driving out of their garage here, trying to get out, someone's backing up all the time. So we reduced the density to make it what we felt would make the development a little bit nicer, get some green space around, a little more green space around the buildings, especially in the center there, widen those drive aisles so that our fire department will like this. So, and then one other thing that we've also modified on this, currently the access, you have to come down Myrtle here, or through here to get all the way across. And during your festival seasons, during the summer, the access actually comes down on this side. And between closing it off in the summer for use of the park here, and putting temporary access into here for the homeowners to get in, as well as the concern was, again, for our fire department, is just overall access and being able to get in and out of the development. At least this will, and we would proposing to add the access through here. We're relocating the electrical, underground electrical, the street light in here, and redoing this access in here. So again, we can have the homeowners circulate within here without having to go around the park, without having to absorb the parking that is, small amount of parking that's around the park as well. And then, of course, that will allow the fire assistants to be able to access a lot more smoothly, get in and out when they have 2 access points to circulate in and out of here without becoming locked in there during a fire scenario. So again, 16 units and a little modification to the site plan as well, reducing density. We have done quite a few projects throughout the northwestern suburb area in the western suburbs in regards to our tax incremental financing districts. This is one of them that we started in Huntley, actually started and finished, but Huntley invoked a TIP in their downtown area, and it was well needed, put it that way. And what we did, we were the first ones in there, negotiated our TIP, and there was a 2-story burned building about 8 feet wide where this building now sits. And so we negotiated our TIP with them and produced a kind of more of a historic looking building to match their downtown. And we were able to fill that up immediately. And we brought this chocolate shop, which was in another building of ours. They moved into this area and actually increased their business 2 or 3 times. And this is kind of the interior of what the little chocolate shop is, and then we have a little boutique in there, and et cetera. Again, our specialty, we feel, is working within the TIF district and bringing that next step to, rejuvenate their downtown. We feel the same way with Villa Park, that bringing a little bit more residential to the downtown area, or will help expand where more brewing is, and just expand and help grow the downtown area and make a next step. That's why we're actually excited about Fuel and the ice cream store as well. This is another project in downtown Huntley. This is the building we're referencing here. We did redo this one next year, but we don't own that building. But this one here, the doorway was originally over here. It was in there, and we found a picture from like the 1890s to 1900 that showed the original building, and so we pretty much gutted that and restored it back to the original look, where the doorway was in the middle, and even that, again, that warm, early 1900 look to it. We put a little gelato shop in there, and we have 2 apartments above that. This is in Carpentersville. It's another TIF district that we worked with them on. It was a building that was vacant for 12 years. It was a Rosati's Pizza that was owned by the bank for 12 years. Nothing happened, just sitting and rotting. It's right in front of Spring Hill Mall off of Highway 31, which is Western Avenue there. And we demolished that building and put this building up, and we completed this one in 16 or 17. And we put American Mattress in there, and then also Jersey Mike's. This is a project that's currently underway in another TIF district in East Dundee of ours. It's 36 apartments, 2 buildings at 18 units each. And again, they're under construction, so not quite as pretty as the other ones are. And these are also already starting to lease up before we even finish up the construction with it. We're delivering these at the end of June this year. So that's what the main thing is. This building here we did also is in McHenry, and at 18,000 square foot retail. We do low-rise buildings as well, which would be 5 stories and under. And this had 27 condominiums along with 18,000 square foot of retail. So that's kind of who we are and what we want to do with the Kenilworth Park area and your village, and enjoy it and have fun.
Thank you,
Any
John.
questions or anything?
Give us a minute, maybe we'll have some. I asked the manager if he'd maybe give us a little recap on the incentive agreement that we have we look to put in force. So if the manager would do that, then appreciate it.
Thank you,
We have
Honor.
a number of agreements going back and forth, and it did get confusing for a while. So.
Well, thank you, Your Honor, and Your Honor and Board, and folks in the audience and at home. So this particular development will occur within the Kenilworth TIF, which is near Cortese Park, and encompasses part of that area, including, if I'm not mistaken, Lions Park. The development that we're discussing this evening would be 16 units, 2 units in the middle of you, as you saw, and then units next to the Great Western Prairie Path, and then some units adjacent to Kenilworth. Some of the development specifics, let me just kind of bring you up to date. So the investment for this particular project of 16 units is at least $4.7 million, and construction should commence on or before July 1st, 2019, and to complete the project on or before December 31st, 2021. But in between July 1st, 2019 and 2021, there's some thresholds, and that we've discussed many times. For instance, after the first 2 units are constructed and COs given, there'll be an incentive, performance incentive provided of $50,000. After that, the next threshold would be 14 units. That includes the 2 units on or before December 31st, 2020 to qualify for the second performance incentive of $50,000.
And that's when they get issued the certificate of occupancy.
That's
what
correct.
a CO is. So.
I'm sorry, Your
That's
Honor, I
okay.
should have did that. And then the last 2 units after December 31st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. And after the 14 units, that's, at that particular time, that's when reimbursement starts to the developer. So this particular TIF agreement is a 50% TIF agreement. In other words, as these units are developed and sold, the property tax, the increment of the property tax is put into the Kenilworth Special Tax Allocation Fund, which would be used to reimburse the developer. And 50% of those funds would be used to reimburse the developer to the lesser of 25% of project cost, or $800,000, whichever is lesser, and over the period of the TIF. And so as those units are sold and they become on the tax rolls, there'll be a buildup of funds within that special tax allocation fund, which would be used to reimburse to the developer over time. And I think, Your Honor and Board, this particular TIF is only 3 to 4 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So it does have a few more years on it. But the reimbursement to the developer will come solely from this particular development on this particular property, subject property.
Okay, so, if any of the board members have any questions? Trustee Wagner.
Just a question about the townhomes. Are they going to mirror the floor plan of the existing townhomes?
The interior floor plan would be similar. I mean, our building envelope is such that there's not going to be a lot of possibility for variance within, but there will be some changes, updating what we felt would a little bit more open concept on that first floor versus what they were building back in '06.
Okay. And what are you going to be selling these townhomes at? What price
We're
range?
projecting at the 320. Right now, there was a townhome sold into the existing, and looking at photos of that and everything, I mean, it's nice looking inside, they had it done well. And it sold for 318. I think there's one on the market for 319, 320, and that is our price point that we feel that we need to move at a good velocity. Our goal is to come in and have a successful project. And so we don't try to price something 375 or 385 and hope for the best. We want to price it to where the velocity is achievable and we can get in, get out, get done, and everybody's satisfied, makes it fair, profit, and on to the next one.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Trustee Case.
For the exteriors, are you guys going to manage it so when they're sold, they can't come in and paint the outside, the exterior different colors? It's going to stay all
This portion of the development will fall right in with the existing homeowners association for the previous 18.
Okay.
So since it was all under the same PUD at the original time, the CC&Rs that govern the HOA are in place. It's up and active, and it also encompasses these units. So as soon as these are built, they'll be part of that.
Okay. So windows, doors, everything?
Everything is governed by the existing CC&Rs within that homeowner association, existing one.
Trustee Kazone.
How many parking spots or garages does each unit get?
Just each unit has a two-car garage.
Is it two-car? Okay, thank you.
Trustee Cielo.
Just answer my question.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Trustee Tucker.
I have a financial question, which probably goes to the lawyer. Due to the protection or the money deal that we have with it, if by chance they don't fulfill their obligation or the bankruptcy comes up, which we hope we don't see, like we did in the previously, what guarantee do we have that we will get our funds back? That's the tip deal. Because what happened previously...
They won't get any more funds.
Right.
Is there any clawback?
Is there any fallback on?
There's a clawback, but a clawback is, the agreement is with Kenilworth LLC. So your point is well taken. The likelihood of being able to get money back is not realistic. However, having said that, is that even though there's bankruptcy, the incremental revenue continues to come in because the structures are there. What you deal with is bankruptcy is you deal what we had was finished and sold, and they didn't finish the development, but the village was not left in midstream of anything. so that the issue would be that we'd still have the real estate tax increment, but it would no longer be shared with the developer. So you wouldn't get your money back, but you'd still get that portion that you were otherwise giving to the developer.
So we would be protected for, basically protected.
Correct.
Okay.
As
Basically
protected as we could possibly
As possibly
negotiate.
could be
Yes.
if it went to that point.
If you look at the structure of the RDA also, Andrew from the Captain's firm did a good job. But, and also, but the first 50,000 is, you know, after the first 2 units. But we're also putting in a water main extension of 85 lineal feet to give that a loop and a freshwater system, which the village would have been responsible for, but we took that on. And other than that, really our triggers are at 14 units. So you get your water main put in, and we have to sell 14 units before we're gonna get any more money.
Understand.
So you're pretty well, we're gonna be pretty well finished out, to where
You don't
you're
get
in
any
shape.
increment until the 16 units are done, so.
No, 14.
14 you get an incentive, but the whole project, as I recall, requires.
It's 14.
14, I apologize. I thought it was a 16.
So anyway, you're in good shape. No matter what, you're in good shape.
So until he gets to 14 certificates of occupancy, he doesn't share in any of the TIF funds.
So your exposure is not.
Right. Then you'd have bankruptcy and there's units that are
Yeah,
complete
yeah.
and ready to go, you know, or almost complete. Okay.
And as a whole, what are these, your townhouses, as you said, you have an organization to make sure that the structures don't end up looking weird after years on thing. You make sure that the color is going to stay coordinated or whatever it is,
Yes,
that
again,
you're going
we
to
are
protect
part of
us for
the
that.
Existing homeowners association with the CCNRs and governing that.
And they are governing the road you're putting in, that they will be maintaining
Yes,
the structures and the roads inside that structure, correct? That
Inside the structure?
Inside the new road you're putting in,
Yes.
ins and the road structures inside, the driveways
Oh,
and
yes,
such.
yes.
That will be governed by you maintaining them, or the homeowner association
Yeah, the homeowners
maintaining
association
it.
maintains
So-
those.
Has to maintain those. And overall, I mean, you showed all those pictures, but what are those townhouses gonna benefit our TIP? I mean, as a whole, are you bringing people in to assist us? I mean, to benefit the TIF to make it better, because I know we benefit on it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, real quick, basic answer to your question, Trustee Tucker, is this is a kind of a blighted area. I mean, this has been in receivership for over 5 years, and if you remember, probably back in, say, 2012, and I look at Director Giskelis, there used to be mounds of dirt and water laterals just sticking up out of there, and the village had to actually go after the previous developer's bond and clean the site up. So one of the main benefits of this particular development is reducing blight in that area, and then the construction of 16 units will bring in hopefully more families to take advantage of that little unique niche area that we're turning into an entertainment area. Thank you, Your Honor.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just wanted to, basically, besides getting rid of an eyesore that we all know is there, I just wanted to know what we're hoping to accomplish to benefit the village outright with the TIF.
And besides that, also I don't have the document in front of me, but weren't we at, I think that the village over the course of the TIF receives $1.2 million or something like that? And over the life.
Well, we still have to pay the schools if there's children there too, so we cannot project what we make.
When you're out done, I think the tax is like $66,000 a year.
If I remember correctly, after the 16 units are sold and receive their certificate of occupancy and are on the tax rolls, all at the same time, I think it's close to $66,000 a year from the property taxes that would go into the special tax allocation fund, which would be divided to pay the developer reimbursement of eligible project cost. Thank you.
14 units, though, right?
16
14 is the
total?
commencement of the TIF participation,
Yeah.
16
16
is
total,
project.
gotcha.
16 total.
Thanks.
Do we have to reimburse the schools for any students that might, out of the TIF funds that might be going in there?
The law requires that if there are children that are generated, school-age children, because it's an assisted project, it would be to reimburse the school on the difference between the cost per child and their state allocation to a maximum of 40%. So that the idea is, worst case scenario, 10% of the TIF would allow us to pay our administrative costs, 40% to schools if mandated at all. What are the children in the initial townhomes? Do we have children living there, do you know?
I'm not 100% aware. I have the individuals and, yeah, just from the observance of them, whatever, I haven't seen any children there.
Yeah.
I've seen primarily a little more retired generation.
The price points, and given the location and given the size, generally goes to empty nesters as opposed to family, because for that kind of price you can buy a lovely, lovely home in Villa Park with a nice backyard. And so the market seems to control the situation. But we have covered it in all events.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Okay, Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
President Boldis?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 8A, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park. Thank you, Jen. DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering service agreement with Strand Associates Incorporated for Phase 2 design engineering for the Charles Avenue Improvement Project, St. Charles to Oak, in the amount not to exceed $173,200. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Charles Avenue Improvement Project is proposed in the Village of Villa Park's Capital Improvement Plan, also known as the CIP. The scope of work of the project includes street and underground utility improvements on North Charles Avenue from St. Charles Road to Oak Street. The project is expected to receive IEPA low-interest loan funding for a portion of the proposed improvements. Engineering design of the project is budgeted in calendar year 2019, and staff would like to proceed with those design efforts. Staff recommends approval of an engineering services agreement with Strand Associates, Inc., of Joliet, Illinois, for Phase 2 design engineering of this project in an amount not to exceed $173,200. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Al,
So moved.
second? Trustee
I'll second that
Wagner?
motion.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker.
My understanding is we've already had 3 engineering companies that have done 3 different sections of that area. Now we're hiring a 4th engineering company. Is that company redoing what the other 3 have already done in the past? Or are they extending, taking that information from the other 3 that we've already got in our system and putting together the final plan to start the construction of the project?
I don't believe we've had anything else done on that stretch. Maybe our engineer can refresh my memory.
The previous studies were the flood control study, the combined sewer separation studies, and then the documentation for the facility plan for the EPA loan. So there was no detailed design efforts on this street up to now. It was strictly planning documents. So this is now the detailed design of the street, water main, and combined sewer separation improvements.
So are they using the 3 studies we have, or they won't need to use the 3?
Well, the 3 studies provide the background information of what is to be done, but the detailed design will determine how it's going to be done and the cost, and provide the detailed plans for construction.
Okay, so this company's coming in to sell the detailed plan on how it's going to be constructed
Right,
and
bidding
put together.
documents.
Okay.
So I see on my notes here, they're going to replace the water main with an 8-inch one. What's there now, 6 or something?
6 or 4?
6 or 4?
4.
4. So they're going to double the size of that. You're going to put in new curbs, gutters, roadway, driveway aprons. Let's see, we're going to do existing sidewalks where they need to be replaced. based on what the village tells them to be done,
And ADA requirements.
and ADA requirements. Of course, we're doing the sewer separation, so we're going to have a separate storm and sanitary sewer, which is needed there. And that's all too based on our comprehensive flood, storm, sewer system analysis that we've gone through, right?
That is
So,
correct.
okay. Just giving a little update on what they were going to do there, so, okay. Anything else? Trustee Cielo?
Any proposal for gas main improvements or service lines at that time, or are they in good shape?
NICOR is doing gas main replacement throughout the village. I'm
Did they
not
do the
sure if
gas-
They're doing it here.
I think they did them there last year, didn't they?
We'll
They
check,
were
but
working
we believe
on
they did that
Charles,
last
I
year.
think. I think so, too. I remember seeing them. So,
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go to roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Salella,
Yes.
Trustee Kazone,
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
President Bolfus.
Yes. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I talked to bond council this afternoon.
No, I'm not aware of that.
Who's that aware?
I was advised by bond council we didn't need it. All right, well,
Well,
can't hurt doing
won't
it, I
hurt,
guess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to 8B is a resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures for the purchase of equipment, including utility trucks, police squad cars, maintenance trucks, and an aerial lift to be reimbursed from the proceeds of an obligation to be issued by the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village's capital plan calls for the use of rollover bond proceeds to fund the purchase of vehicles and equipment. Because the rollover bonds are not planned to be issued until November, it is necessary to adopt this resolution to pay for covered vehicles and equipment before we obtain the rollover bond proceeds. The village adopted a similar resolution last year and will need to do this annually. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for a resolution? Trustee Yellow? So moved. Do I have a second? Trustee Case?
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Oh, Trustee Tucker.
It's a basic question. If the funds don't become available or are less than the amount that we put in here, where will those funds come from? Or do we guarantee the rollover bonds will cover that amount?
They will.
We know for sure that the bonds will be up to that amount or more?
I think we got that all figured out, right, Manager Keener?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
The
that
funds will
there's
be
not
there.
extending funds and we don't know where they're.
No. Trustee Kazone.
Are these funds for purchases in fiscal, in 2019 then? Or will it be rolling into 2020?
Yes. I think if you look down the list, you might see some, the next items.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
Trustee Salella.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
President Bolfus.
Yes. Item 8C is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-550 four-wheel drive regular cab truck with a Dura Lift D-Tex 39 body from the National Auto Fleet Group in the amount not to exceed $111,510.11. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Existing Public Works vehicle number 31, which is a 1999 Ford F-350, is in disrepair and is scheduled for replacement in the village's calendar year 2019 budget. Authorization to purchase one 2019 Ford F-550 four-wheel drive regular cab with Duralift D-Tax 39 body truck through Sourcewell, which is formerly the National Joint Powers Alliance, is requested in an amount not to exceed $111,510.14. Funding for this purchase would be taken from the Equipment Replacement Fund account number 6550202401. Existing vehicle number 31 would be sold at auction. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have a motion for a resolution? Trustee Yellow?
So moved.
Trustee Wagner?
I'll second that motion.
Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker?
From the picture, what mechanical issues is this truck having? I know it's a 20-year-old truck. You showed us pictures of it. It doesn't have any body damage that I can see from those pictures, but what mechanical failures is that 20-year-old truck having?
Director Solero will handle that question.
Good evening. The mechanical issues, just recently, last week, a couple of the brake lines rotted out. So that was in repair. The one picture, the second picture, actually showing a picture of inside the cab, the floorboard. There's holes that actually go through the entire floor. So, I mean, that's rotted out. Last year, we had a little electrical fire inside the cab for emergency lighting, so that burned up. So, after 20 years, we felt it was time to fix it.
The lift on it, I understand that's an option we're having put in. So the truck itself is 336 plus the 560 powertrain itself. And then the dual lift that is, I take it's an option that we're having put on this truck. From what you're stating, that one itself has a 2-year parts and labor warranty only on the lift, correct? Added to that?
The vehicle itself, the chassis, comes from the Ford manufacturer. That warranty has a 3-year, 36,000 mile, 5 years, 60,000 drivetrain, and yes, the actual Duralift, the aerial articulating lift, has a 2-year parts and labor warranty on that.
And my other question is, why are we purchasing a CD manual for that for $400? Doesn't the vehicle come with a manual? What's the purpose of the...
It's not an owner's manual. Actually,
Okay.
it's the repair manual for our fleet maintenance division. So for them to diagnose repair codes and troubleshoot. So all the vehicles that we do purchase, we make sure that Fleet Services has the current CD manual.
So the CD manual is the repair manual for the...
It's not the owner's manual.
It's not the owner manual. We're
Correct.
speaking of the parts and the manual for repairs for our fleet
correct.
unit? Okay. Do we know what the weight capacity of that rear torque bar is to withstand?
I believe the gross vehicle weight is, with the heavy-duty suspension packages, in excess of 19,000 pounds.
19,000 pounds? Okay. That's all the questions I have, yes.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Volkes?
Yes. Okay, I guess we're down to 8D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the joint purchase of bulk rock salt through the State of Illinois Central Management Service Bureau for strategic scoring. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Secure.
The village annually purchases rock salt through an agreement with the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, also known as CMS. The state of Illinois generally receives favorable prices because of the large quantity of salt that it purchases. The village must submit its rock salt needs through a contract with the state of Illinois by April 1st, 2019. A contract with the state of Illinois for the purchase of 600 tons of bulk rock salt is recommended. Rock salt is a budgeted expense, however, the exact expense will not be known until the bidding process is complete. It is anticipated that at approximately $80 per ton. This price will be budgeted in the calendar year 2020 in Street Maintenance Fund account number 10-525-27-341.
Do you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Case?
Make that motion.
Do you have a second? Trustee Kazone?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Volkes?
Yes. Item 8E is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the joint purchase of bulk rock salt through the DuPage County Procurement Service Division. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village annually purchases rock salt through an agreement with DuPage County Procurement Services Division. DuPage County generally receives favorable prices because of the large quantity of salt that it purchases. A contract with DuPage County Procurement Service Division for the purchase of 600 tons of bulk rock salt is recommended. Rock salt is a budgeted expense, however, the exact expense will not be known until the bidding process is complete. It is anticipated at approximately $80 per ton. This price will be budgeted in calendar year 2020 in Street Maintenance Fund account number 10-525-27-341. Thank you, Your Honor.
We have a motion for the resolution, trustee
Make the motion.
Seal. Okay, do we have a second, trustee Al?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Trustee Puckett.
I have a question. We also using that beet solution. Is our quantity of rock salt gone down at all? Or are we, I'm understand we're still gonna have to purchase the beet solution too on top of it.
That is correct. The village also, besides rock salt, we pre-wet the rock salt with a product called BD concentrate, which typically allows us to save approximately 20 to 25% of rock salt that was not treated. Besides pre-treating the rock salt, this past year we also began anti-icing. It's liquid treatment on the pavement, which also helps to reduce the amount of rock salt needed to clear the streets.
So our quantity's going down because of these two solutions, or is it?
We're being more economically feasible, yes, using some of these other measures. Obviously, we can't predict this past winter, obviously the amount of storms, ice storms, what's brought upon us. I mean, this past year, we used over 1,000 tons of rock salt, where past years typically we're only doing about 700 tons. That was just due to the number of events. So, but we are using, as I said, yes, BD concentrate and a number of liquids to make our rock salt full service.
Thank you.
Trustee Yellow?
You know, what's the salt that's the blue salt, that's the more environmentally friendly salt?
I went this way. The environmental friendly is a BD concentrate, and actually what we treated. Sometimes, depending on the contract and the vendor, the blue salt that you see is some of the vendors that we receive the salt from actually comes already coated with it's like a calcium chloride that's already treated. So which we're actually receiving an added benefit where we're not paying extra for that, but we're getting a little bit of something extra.
Okay. I was curious about this.
Yeah,
Hey.
some you see blue, some you see purple, like
Right. Yeah.
versus an earth tone, or just clear.
And I'm sure there's some people at home trying to wonder, why are we looking for two different suppliers?
Excellent
I know why,
question.
but I'll let you answer that.
Sure. Years past, each contract that we participate in receives different pricing. For instance, last year, because we were able to renew a contract with the state of Illinois, we were paying just a little over $45 a ton for rock salt, where another contract was $67 a ton. So with the price of rock salt, we try to maximize, because we're not locked into just 100% of the contract amount. Both contracts offer us, from what we commit and what we're asking to commit to 600 tons, and we're from 80 to 120% that contract amount. Depending on the year, either we may not purchase the full 100% or 600 tons. We may opt out to buy the 80% if the one contract's higher, and then maximize the lower contract to take advantage of the dollars and buy either 120 or 130% depending on the contract number. So depending on our need and price, we maximize our dollars.
Any other questions? Trustee Kazone?
What kind of reserve on salt do we have right now? Are we in pretty good shape?
We're okay. Normally, we like to keep a year's supply going into the following season. With the past winter, and we don't have that. We probably have maybe a half a year supply right now in hand. And that's, I would say that was due to the harsh winter.
So we pray for an easy winter.
Yeah, talk about snow.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to have him fix the weather around here and make this a little better so we can.
I wish I could do that. I would love to do that. If I could do that.
I think you should make a motion that you're
Spray everybody with beet heat. So. Okay. Seeing no other, we have a roll call vote, please.
Okay, trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. With that, we'll move on to number 9, is public comment on non-agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, do we have anyone?
Yes, Wendy Grandrath has an item,
Okay.
election item.
Good evening. I know you've all seen me before, and I'm really speaking tonight to the camera because I am very involved in making sure that the residents in Villa Park get out and vote in the election on April 2nd. With only 7 days until those county elections, I'd like to share some of my observations regarding the actions and decisions that have been made by the current board and the manager to encourage.
We're here to talk about business, village business, not electioneering, and
Well-
that we don't do at these meetings. And
I am not speaking about electioneering. I am going to address issues within the village that I've observed over the last 18 months.
is there a difference?
Well, I believe so.
Okay. Well, let's hear. Okay.
Okay. Let's see, where was I? I've made some observations over the last year and a half regarding the direction, communication, transparency, and resident input. Regarding direction, we've been given the in motion and as a roadmap to what the village is planning on doing in the future. But the president keeps referring to these huge expenditures. What are they? What's the mystery? You never come out and say specifically what they are. Shouldn't the residents be informed proactively rather than reactively? Residents need to be informed routinely what challenges we as a community will be facing. Regarding communication, we're a technology-dependent world, and the information that is posted on village websites should be accurate and up to date. It should be accurate to current status of situations and not left inaccurate with an apology as a response that's given when a resident calls or sends an email. Regarding transparency in government, for the most part, I think Villa Park does a pretty good job. But I think of late, there are sometimes promises that are made behind closed doors for various commissions. There's current village inspectors who have family-operated businesses that are promoted within the village when phone calls are made. Is that really ethical? Could it be a question of conflict of interest? There's been non-compliance on county election law and procedures. Is that unethical?
Do you have any?
Police resources
Do you have
were
any
just...
specifics, on
Pardon
these?
me?
Do you have any specifics you can lay out for us on those points you had?
Which ones?
Well, you got the transparency stuff and.
You've accused village employees of being in conflict by having jobs that affect their, you said inspectional services?
Yes, that, I'm just saying that there are current employees who have family businesses that are being referred by the village as a resource. I just question that as, is that ethical? or not?
We can't deal with it unless you give us specifics. It is something that I, as the village attorney, would certainly want to look into so
How
that I
about
could
Midland
advise the
Plumbing
board.
then? My understanding is that Midland Plumbing is family business of the plumbing inspector.
All right.
And they are referred to when called for the village for any plumbing issues that residents are having.
Okay.
Mr. Graham, is it the only plumber they refer?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'd be
But I just
curious.
know that that's one that I've heard from
Understood.
different people.
If you find out that it's the only one that's being referred, I'd appreciate hearing that.
Okay.
We are also, by policy, directed to the extent possible, deal with local businesses and not
Right.
go outside the village when we are looking for services and/or vendors.
I think I would totally agree with that. But it is up to the residents then to do their due diligence and see that that is the best bid and that it's not being unfairly represented as the best option that they might have. Police resources were just wasted on unsubstantiated complaints regarding this very election that we're going into. Is that obstruction of justice or a First Amendment objection? Is it bullying? I do believe the majority of the board are honest, dedicated, and they're serving the village of Villa Park very admirably. But there's a lot of misinformation out there right now regarding resident input. There's been a huge fight to convince the board of feasibility study to address parks and recreation and aquatic facilities. The feasibility focus group question were limited in scope and they were biased. The survey for resident input was sent in water bills. I believe this was a calculated decision to skew the results in favor of the boards and managers' positions. Perhaps the most insulting act was to place a referendum question on the ballot suggesting a tax increase to fund the repairs to Lufkin Pool when the village has the monies to make those repairs. Once again, acting like you want to hear the voice of the people but unjustly influencing results by attaching a tax increase to the question. That's pretty deplorable in my book. At a recent coffee with the board, asked if the referendum passes, what are the plans? The response was, we'll have to see what the study says. There's no long-term vision or short-term fix to situations that are of major concern to residents. Many young residents have made the largest commitments of their lives and the lives of their children here in Villa Park. I'm urging voters to do their research, to inform themselves about candidates that are running. Recently walking precincts in Villa Park, there's a lot of misinformation floating around.
I think your time's up, and that's a little late, electioneering,
Could I read one more sentence?
as long as it's not electioneering.
All I'm going to say is everyone needs to remember the village manager and his staff report to the board, and the board reports to every resident. If people are ineffective in their jobs, they have been in their jobs too long, just like term limits, those people need to be replaced. Voting is the first step in effective change. It's time to get new ideas and fresh thinking. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Well, we have Christine Murphy, but that might be electioneering too.
Yeah.
Nope, it's not.
Okay.
My name is Christine Murphy. I live at 523 South Yale Avenue in Villa Park. As a 60-year resident of Villa Park and a 14-year technical election judge with DuPage County, I'd like to encourage all our Villa Park residents to come out to their polling places on April 2nd and vote. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That it?
That's it.
Anyone else? Steve? Please state your name for the, because the clerk doesn't have it.
Steve Seddon, South Princeton. So if I read the referendum question, is that electioneering?
Yes,
Yeah.
Just if I read what's on the ballot?
yes.
Really? Okay.
He's not
All right,
gonna
then I'll
read it. Take a
read
position
an
on
abbreviated version, which I don't think is electioneering, but you tell me.
Taking a position on the issue is using the village media, if you will,
I understand.
for taking a position. I mean, the discussions on the left of the pool were great with
Point of order.
major discussion.
Point of order. So reading the referendum itself and not taking a position on the referendum, we consider that electioneering?
There's only one reason you would read the question on the referendum
Okay.
is to discuss it and take a position.
Okay.
We don't need the question read to us. This board adopted the question to put it on to the ballot.
I understand. And I'm not trying to be argumentative, I'm just trying to understand. Thank you.
All right. I too would like to speak to the residents, and I'll see if I can say this. This is about the proposed facility that's not on the ballot, right? If I can speak about that.
I don't know what it is yet, so.
The giant rec center,
Oh, that thing? Yeah.
indoor, outdoor, giant thing
Okay.
that people have talked about.
What do you think?
I would just like to point out about that facility you've been hearing about, because people think that is imminent and about to be built. I would just like to say, at the November 6, 2017 board meeting, and I'm quoting the minutes here, President Bolton said, in his opinion, it might be up to 10 years, 10,
We're down to 8 now.
8. All right, 8. Before the village is in a financial position to afford a new recreation center. And he repeated his opinion at a subsequent coffee with the board meeting. Okay, I would just like to point out that for that facility, TIF money that was discussed as being a possibility to fund that is no longer available because School District 45 voted no on extending the TIF, so that money is off the table, and it should be taken off the village website, especially since it was brought to the attention of the board at the last coffee with the board. The people who say they want the roads fixed first, a referendum for $25 million to fix all the roads in Villa Park was passed a few years ago, and you're already paying taxes on that. Talk to all these folks if you have questions about that. And I guess that's all I can say. Thank you.
Steve, did you see did you say there was all the roads in Villa Park from that 25 million?
Is that wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
25 million worth of roads, not all
You
roads.
guys-
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
25 million for road.
Right.
Four roads.
It's just people have been saying, fix the roads, and I'm trying to tell them that was passed. It's in,
That's right.
I'm doing something good. I'm telling them to speak about it.
Mhm. Anyone else? No one else?
May I address the board? The rule about electioneering, once you open the door, then why can't every candidate come up and tell their position on a given issue? And once you open that door, it's a never-ending door, and it is generally prohibited at a business meeting. If the village wants to hold a candidate forum, that's a different thing. But it has to do with all issues on all politics at all levels. Not only a village election, but county, state, etc. And it's a long-standing rule at open meetings, business meetings of village boards.
I understand that, and promoting a candidate or promoting a candidacy is certainly out of order. But I thought, since the referendum question,
You're promoting a position on something that needs to be voted on. And I don't see the difference, and traditionally, there isn't a difference between that and advocating a candidate. And it's not to be rude, and it's not to take away someone's speaking rights. There's a certain amount of decorum that must be maintained at a business meeting of this village board.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
No report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move down to the trustee report. We'll start with trustee Gallo today.
Far be it from me to defend the village president of any town, But I got to defend Al a little bit on that one, on today's discussion in regard to the huge expenditures that this village is going to and regularly incurring. Because I know Al has reminded us on multiple occasions, not in reference to any necessarily buying vehicles or capital improvement projects or in regard to anything in particular, but other than just as in general discussing the budget for the village. So in discussing the budget for the village, it's come up multiple occasions that we have a shortfall in the North Avenue TIF district that we're going to incur this year. We have pension shortfalls in both police and fire pensions, where we're barely just slightly over 50% funded. We'd like to be 70 or 80% funded. And several other things that I feel that Al has pointed out during budget discussions at the very least, and they were during board meetings. So I appreciate it's not necessarily something that we're advertising and promoting, because you don't really like to advertise and promote the negative side of operations, but it has been revealed through the village president at the very least during multiple board meetings, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Tucker?
Yes, previous board meeting, I think the last one actually, we had a discussion on the parking on Villa Avenue. Have we had any correction on that you know of? Has it improved? Have the businesses contacted you saying, yes, it's been better? Is the issue changed?
Chief Lay is here.
We still enforce the parking violations that are there. I know that Public Works has placed some new signage there to try and help people be aware of what the parking restrictions are, but it's been pretty much status quo for the last couple of weeks.
We got some sandwich boards coming too with parking times on, I think 6 of them along. They go from Kenilworth to Wildwood.
Pretty close
that are
now.
there. And Angie from Pioneer is willing to take charge of those, put them out, and take them back in at the end of the day. So I think there'll be 6 sandwich boards with signs on. I think we're in the process of making the signs to go on the sandwich boards. So
I got to sneak back in here for
Yeah.
a second. Only because my mom asked me to ask. And I will never do it again. There's 2 stop signs at the southwest corner of Ardmore and Adams. And going down Adams west from that point, there's multiple no parking signs that are doubled up the same way. Is there a reason? Is like temporary storage for the signs? There's for some reason new signs went in and we just didn't take the old signs out because we were going to use them later somewhere else. I didn't understand. And there's like 2 or 3 blocks that it occurred on. My mom noticed it when we were driving around.
Ardmore and Adams?
Yeah.
Ardmore and Adams?
Ardmore and Adams.
No,
I'm
they're
sorry.
replacing the new signs.
You're talking,
Yeah, no, Ardmore, southwest corner, Ardmore and
They're
Adams. Yeah.
replacing signs?
They're replacing the new signs. They haven't taken the old ones out yet.
Is that,
Okay.
that's all it is? Okay, great. I'll give her the answer.
And that has to do with Villa Avenue and Kenilworth?
No, that's right.
Okay, anything else?
yeah, the other question that has been brought up multiple times are the improvement in our parks for the spring going in effect shortly on the schedule? Because I guess some people were concerned about the new playground on North Terrace that was flooded. And I know that they were putting drains in it, and some of the new stuff at Lions Park is coming to effect because of safety issues, I know was brought to your attention. On some of the equipment at Lions was outdated, and I know they were looking into fixing them or sanding them down or whatever the wood plates. That was done already, correct? Because we've had a lot of issues.
Director Gola from Parks and Fleet.
I just want to bring it to people's attention that the park,
Yeah,
Brian
Lions
has
Park,
fixed those.
They repainted, they replaced a lot of the hardware that wore out. So Lions Park is okay. The playground needs to be replaced eventually. It's on our list, but we put that on hold for right now. The park over at North Terrace, with the rain, it just wasn't draining, so we put in some a new drain. It's done. It's ready to go. They just have to grade the dirt and top dress, put some seed on, but the playground is available to use.
And the Tot Park, the new equipment's coming in on that also, correct?
Which top park?
I believe the one by Harvard, wasn't there a
Harvard, we
new?
did take some of the old equipment
out
and we
and-
did put some new top equipment.
Thank you. I just wanted to make people aware of that, because I know a lot of them were concerned about our parks in the village, that some of them were being updated.
We're in the process of updating all our parks, and right now we've replaced 6 out of the 11 playgrounds, and playgrounds actually, so. And we're moving full speed ahead, another couple within the next few months.
Thank you. And that's all the question I had on that. And because Coffee with, and I don't want to take your thing,
Go
I do
ahead.
want to remind people that Coffee with the Board is April 7th. So if you do have an issue or something that you need to bring to our attention, that is the time to do it. If you do not want to call us personally, please come join us and let us know.
It's April 6th.
April 6th.
6.
April 6th? Okay.
Sunday to go.
Sunday's the 7th, you're right.
Yeah.
April 6th.
That's it?
That is it.
Trustee
Thank you.
Wagner.
Thank you, President Bolthus. Just want to let members of the public know that the Environmental Concerns Commission will be meeting this Thursday here at Village Hall at 7 p.m. They're in need of commissioners and would encourage folks who are interested to apply. I would like to let folks know about the Garden Club of Villa Park. We'll have a program Tuesday, March 26th at 7:30 p.m. at the Community Rec Building. They're going to have a speaker from an organization called Seed Keepers. And then in April, they've got a program, Prairie Plants in Your Landscape. It's a very wonderful group, very welcoming people, so I would encourage folks, if they're interested in that, to attend their meetings. And lastly, would like to let folks know about Festa Italiana, which is going to be held at St. Pius X Church, Saturday, March 30th. It's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and it benefits the parish. It also benefits Sacred Heart Parish. And it's a wonderful event, lots of good food, no calories.
You want to mention the library hours, too?
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. I was going to, yeah, I think it's starting on March 26th. No.
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow? Okay.
They closed today. is the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
day.
the library will be closed for 3 weeks as they transition from the new entrance to they're going to be moving part of the collection, covering part of the collection, and they're going to be transitioning to the new entrance, and then the renovation of the interior is going to take place. So, thank you. That's all I had.
Trustee Cielo.
Yes, I'd like to remind everyone about the 16th annual Run for the Kids Superhero Hustle. It's hosted by Easter Seals of DuPage here in Villa Park. Excuse me. The race is on May 4th. It's actually a 5K run or a 2K walk. And there's all different abilities and skill levels. After the race, there's a party with fresh grilled food, kids dash, face painting, live music, photo booth, and kid-friendly games and plenty of entertainment. It's open to the public. It's a good time. It's a good cause. Again, that's Easter Seals DuPage at Fox Valley. Secondly, I'd like to remind our residents and members of the board that Vintage Voodoo Tattoo is having their grand opening on March 27th at 4 p.m. It's located at 207 South Villa Avenue in the lower level. And that's all I have.
Trustee Kazone.
I'd like to remind the board we're all getting tattoos on Thursday. So, Community Pride Commission is meeting tomorrow, 6 o'clock, up here at Village Hall. As most of the commissions, we are looking for people. So if you're interested, the meetings are usually fairly short. So once a month. So 6 o'clock tomorrow, Community Pride. And another reminder, VFW has their fish fries now that lunch here again, 5:30 to 8 o'clock. They usually go a little bit later if need be, but the food is good and reasonable, and they get served pretty quick. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Case?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, next we'll move on to the President's report. I have a couple things. Again, our next village board meeting is on April 8th, right here at 7 p.m. Remind the residents, too, that the yard waste begins in the first week of April. So remember, you have to have the stickers on the bags or on the cans. So that begins in April. I noticed that some people already have some little twigs and stuff that they raked up in their yards and put them out. So next week they'll be starting to pick those up. The other thing is, well, we already mentioned the election on the 2nd. The other thing I want to give the board a heads up that we are planning and have been planning to have another strategic planning session. We had the last one in 2013, so it's been 5 years in time since that has happened, and the manager and I had talked about that a number of months ago, and we decided that we would wait till after the election to have that so the new trustees could be involved in that. That'll be in some Saturday in June. So sort of, you know, we're going to be getting in touch with you to see what Saturdays you have available. That was an all-day session. Luckily, we had the Odeum allowed us to use their facilities, and they even provide us with lunch on that day. And we had the board members there, staff members, senior staff was there, residents from the community were able to come. We had a number of residents there. They generally bailed out after lunch because sometimes, you know, it can get kind of boring. But we went through and we got this finished report, and basically going over all of our, you start out with a SWOT program, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we did that. We'll have some more of that coming up. We'll be doing the same thing. And on that meeting, we were able to come up with our strategies that we are going to go over for the next number of years, 5 years or more, short-term, long-term, easy stuff, routine stuff, complicated projects. So that's what we're going to be doing again. And I got a new update from all the department heads this week on where they at with that strategic plan, what our goals were, so for our long-range plan. So that was all covered at that strategy session. Some of the things that came out of that, so you guys all know, is a bunch of reports. And this granddaddy of a report here on the Sugar Creek watershed, which is the project that's going on right now over by Jackson Pond project. That's quite an extensive study. Stormwater, we had a comprehensive plan, stormwater plan, water rate studies. We have a Sugar Creek long-range plan, Sugar Creek restoration plan, and some other plans too. So that strategy session we'll be doing again so that we can plan out for the next 5 years, and staff knows what kind of background and work that they have to get ready for that plan. So with that, we're going to go down right now to the manager's report, okay?
I was going to bounce it when after you, Your Honor.
What?
I'll jump in.
Okay.
So, thank you, Your Honor. And folks in the audience and at home, you may have noticed that on Saturday that Ardmore near High Ridge Road was closed, had a detour, and as President Bolthuis just mentioned, the Jackson Pond project. Well, we started the Jackson Pond project over the weekend, installing, I believe it's a 30-inch pipe. Is that correct, Director Giskelis, Kevin, Rich? And it's been a project we've talked about for a number of years, and a very expensive project, but well worthwhile in alleviating flooding in the north west part of town. And so, I'm not, Your Honor, if I may, could I have Kevin or Rich Salerno or Director Giskelis come up and just kind of remind us maybe what occurred over the weekend and where we're going, moving maybe to the west?
As Manager Keener mentioned, we did start the project over the weekend. The first step was to install new storm sewer across Ardmore Avenue. They'll then be extended on to the new overflow pond at Willowbrook Park. And so that project is in motion now. We tried to get this work done over spring break so the schools are less affected by traffic and things like that. Once that pipe is in, then we can begin the process of excavating the actual overflow pond, with the intention being then to get the baseball field and everything else that's associated with this project completed as a part of this full project.
It was a great job getting that done this week while everyone's off. That was not just genius, but I'm sure it took a lot to get it organized and up to speed with the contractor to actually do it this week.
There was some coordination involved, so it did work out, and we're glad that it did.
Wouldn't want to do that when school was in session.
No,
That's that would
certainly
have
not.
been a mess. Trustee Wagner.
Just a suggestion, and this is going to alleviate problems stemming from the 2013 flood. Maybe it would be good just to put up some sort of signage saying, this is a project, to alleviate flooding. I mean, I've seen it in different towns, just to let people know what it's all about. So, just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the planning for that started in 2015, I believe, right?
Actually earlier. I believe we started the study in 2013.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly. So it's been in motion for quite some time.
Well, you had to, do all the engineering and get the grants and all that stuff, so it takes time.
It's been a long road.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see progress moving out there in the field.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
With that, Your Honor, I'll pass.
Okay, I have one more thing, and we have, guess I'll stay on the mic. I'm going to go down here.
Okay.
We have a 30-year employee retirement, and that would be Vitas Diskelis. You can come up here, Vitas. You got to get your first out of feet. This is the appropriate time to recognize you for 30 years of experience of being with the Village of Villa Park. And point out to the residents some of the things that Vitas has done. So I read down and I looked for his resume. And I came up with this here. So, but Vitas joined us in 1989. I think I was 12 then. And just to give you a little background on Vitas, he has a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the Illinois Institute of Technology. He has a master's degree in business administration from Lewis University. And those degrees came in real handy for us in the Village of Villa Park. If you remember, when we were between managers, Vitas stepped in and he was the village manager. And when our treasurer left, Vitas stepped in as the treasurer. There was a time there, it was pointed out to me, when we had some contracts that needed to be signed by the manager, by the treasurer, and by the engineer. Vitas signed all three lines. So we were kind of in question that that was legal. So, but it was. So I wanted to point out to the residents and to the board and to of some of Vitas' background, some of his accomplishments. We found out on last Thursday night when we had a little reception at the golf course for Vitas' retirement, and we invited some of the organizations that he belongs to and some of the engineering firms that he works with to come down. And it was just wonderful to see. The golf course was full of people there to wish Vitas a happy retirement. So let me just give you a few things that Vitas has been involved in besides in the Village of Villa Park. Vitas was a member of the American Waterworks Association of Illinois. He's a lifetime member of that. Vitas is a member of the American Public Works Association, a lifetime member for that. And then under that capacity, he was a past Chicago Metro chapter officer including a chapter president. He was the past chair of the Chapter Expo and Education Committees, the current appointee to the Illinois Terrorism Task Force. He is a past national chair of the Education Committee underneath the American Public Works Association, and the past national chair for the committee members for the International Affairs Committee underneath the American Public Works Association. He is also a member of the DuPage County Municipal Engineering Group. He's a voting member on that. He's a part of the Mayor's and Manager's Transportation Committee since 1989, since he came on board here. And he's also with the Public Works Mutual Aid Network. He's a current board member on that. And he is also a member of the Illinois Terrorism Task Force, which includes the current co-chair for the Critical Infrastructure Committee and for the member of the council, chair council. And also, it does go on. I had a bigger piece of paper here. He is part of the National Society for Professional Engineers, and the local thing right here in Villa Park, he's also a member of the Lions Club. So in the 30 years he's been here, Vita, I noticed and the other night when all the other firms were there and the association members were there, and the village board member board, showing their appreciation for all your work you've done, not just in Illinois, not just in Villa Park, but in national representing Villa Park and these associations. So I'd like to present you with this plaque here for your gratefully appreciate 30 years of outstanding service, guidance, strong leadership, and unyielding dedication from 1989 to 2019. Thank you.
I've been very fortunate to be here this long, and probably the two most fun things I can think of is that I was around for both the 75th anniversary celebration and the centennial, which I guess makes me old. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, Vitas. Okay, so we'll move down. We have an executive session tonight. We're going to talk about 5 ILCS 120/2C1 personnel matters, 5 ILCS 120/2C2 collective bargaining, C5 purchase and lease of property, C6 sale and lease of property, C11 pending litigation, and C21 discussion of closed session minutes. Do we have a motion for executive session? Trustee Yellow?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Trustee Zone?
Now second.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
President Holthus?
Yes. With that, we'll be going into executive session. We will not be coming back. See ya in a couple weeks.